Hello, friends. Hello, friends. All right, it was a gift from one of the viewers, so I figure it's my obligated duty to at least try it, okay? I thought you guys might enjoy the maiden voyage of my love affair with garage beer. Ready? Oh, that's delightfully terrible. Oh. Okay, wow. Yeah, that's interesting. Apparently the Kelsey brothers have something to do with this product. What if they drink beer? Yeah, so, you know, I know it's silly to do all these bench videos, but these guitars all need strings, and I just feel like I shouldn't do it without rolling the camera, because this is something like therapy for all of us, I think, right? I know I've already put up a video today, and you guys are already sick of me for today. But then I was about to restring this guitar that needs it, because I think I'm locked on that 49ers game that's on right now. I got 49ers -3. Bears don't seem to have any chance of doing anything in this game, as I figured. I only bet one game this morning, and that was Miami -6, which ended up being a push in overtime. So that was lucky. But the Gibson ES-335, electric Spanish. This here is a 63, I think. Blocks, as Greg Voros calls them, small blocks. He likes the small blocks. So do I. This is the only 335 I have left. The only one I kept after all of the ones that I've been through. Boy, there was a period when I was so ate up with 335s. I had so many 335s floating in and out of my transom. It was scary. There was a point. I remember one point I had 5 dot necks. And that's a little overkill. But I sold them all. For some reason, I kept this one. I'm not saying it's the best one I've ever had, but it's a really good guitar. I really like it. I always thought it was very unique in the sense that it's got this stunning cherry red glow to it. You see it? It's wonderful. It's a lovely guitar. And some guy recently offered me a pile of money for this guitar, and I turned it down. I just thought, yeah, that'd be great to take the money and everything, but then what? Then I don't have a 335. And I was like, no, thank you. But I always say, everything's got a price, friends. If someone wants to pony up well enough on something, I'll sell it. Because I don't really get sentimentally attached to guitars. They're tools to me, as I've said many times. And some tools, I will admit, are much harder to replace than others. But the boys are downstairs watching football and putting together Lego sets. Legos have been hot around here lately. Marshall's got a particularly elaborate Lego set that he's working on now. He's doing really well. They're really good at doing Legos. I was trying to explain to them, back when I was a kid, Legos were not nearly as complex as they are now. They were basically just blocks. Do you guys remember that? You could just pretty much build a house out of them. That's pretty much all you could do, or a building. There was no themed Lego sets when I was a kid, or like, you know, none of that stuff, right? I mean, am I remembering this wrong? I don't remember there being anything like that. Legos were basically like Lincoln Logs when I was a kid, and you basically had rectangles. You know, and Legos are expensive, you know. There's a ladybug flying around. I said to Marshall earlier, I go, man, these Legos are so expensive. You'd think the least they could do is put them together for you. That's a joke. That's a joke, guys. I understand that the point of doing Legos is actually building them yourself. Man, you know, I will say, I think we all know that the per capita intelligence level of the followers of the Homeskoolin show is a bit higher than most guitar shows. I think it's pretty safe to assume that. And so is the humor level. Man, some of the comments that you guys leave just fucking crack me up. Some guy said today, he said, we should put together a compilation record of all the Led Zeppelin songs that Led Zeppelin lifted and call it The Song Remains Strikingly Similar. See, that's fucking funny, man. I mean, that's just top shelf humor there. I mean, you can look far and wide. You ain't gonna find anything much funnier than that. Pretty fucking funny, if you ask me. Look, I know it seems like I'm bashing Led Zeppelin. I am not bashing Led Zeppelin. I love Led Zeppelin. I am smart enough to realize that you just do not attack music that is that loved by people. I mean, it would be foolish of me to go around talking shit on Led Zeppelin because they are interwoven into the entire soundtrack of so many people's lives. I mean, so many people got their first ass listening to Led Zeppelin, smoked their first joint. You know, you can't argue with that shit. That's silly. And I also realize that as men, we will defend the music that we were listening to when we were 13 years old all the way to our graves. If anybody comes around me talking shit on the early Police or the early Cars or Leonard Skinner, I will defend that music to my grave. And I realize that's how this was Zeppelin too. It's like people love that shit. The reason they love it because it was fucking awesome. Yes, it was all stolen. Who cares? Who cares? They were still awesome. But I just think it's funny that I do love to go back and listen to the original recordings that they lifted, and it amazes me because I'm still learning about that. I'm still finding, you know, from doing the homework and the research, like I'm still finding shit. I was like, wow, like I didn't even realize until yesterday that Since I've Been Loving You is a dead rip of an old Moby Grape song. I didn't even know that. Thanks again to one of our intelligent, enlightened viewers that turned me on to that. And there's also a comment on this channel I pinned, I think it was on this video, or the last video, that a guy wrote that's very intelligent, talking about, you just go look at the pinned comment. He does a much better job explaining it than I ever could. Obviously, this guy is a real musicologist and knows more about this shit than I do. So go check it out. He's well-worded, very intelligent fella. Talking about the lineage of stolen rock and roll. I love it. I'm going against my usual rule of cutting the ends off these today just because I'm bored. Let's talk about the Gibson 335 just for a minute. I know you guys have always said, Larry, you should do a whole video about talking about 335s. What else? What is there to talk about? They're just fucking awesome. I mean, you got a center block, you know, with two PAFs, Brazilian rosewood, and two kick-ass Mickey Mouse ear feedback wings on side of the center blocks, both sides. How bad can that be? I mean, the early 335s have great necks, and they have beautiful, controllable feedback and sustain when you bend notes and you turn the guitar to the amp just a little bit on a gig, and you get the perfect octave up, controllable feedback. as God intended, God himself. And then you factor in the versatility of the instrument, the fact that you could take this to a session and you can play pretty much anything on it. That's what those Nashville session guys were doing in the old days. They all realized that the 335 was basically a Swiss Army knife of a guitar. I mean, you could do it all with this thing. I love it. It actually cracks me up when I hear young guitar players talking shit on 335s. Like, I've so many times I've heard guys say things like, I don't like 335s. Guys in their 20s. I'm like, really? You don't like 335s? Like, yeah, I don't like them. I go, really? Well, what 335s have you played? And they're all like, oh, like the custom shop ones, or, I'm like, okay, well, that explains why you don't like 335s. This model of all Gibson models is the one that suffered most trying to be recreated later on. I've said many times that this model died in early 1965. And I know that's a harsh thing to say, but I kind of mean it. Like, the 58 through early 65 was the golden era of 335s. And it's a safe bet to say that anybody who says they don't like 335s has never played one of those. Let's just put it that way. Okay? Let's just put it that way. And it's a hard model to recreate. Like, you can make a Strat or a Telly in your garage with a bandsaw that is damn near as good as a 55 Strat if you're talented enough, but you can't make this in your garage because you don't have those molds that you need to make these guitars. You see what I'm saying? For some reason, the Gibson factory has never figured out how to make a good 335. And I'm just throwing that out. I'm not really saying that for my opinion. That's what my grandmother used to say. She used to say that. It's a hot take, I know, but that's what Granny used to say. I'm not saying I agree with that, but she was a firecracker, my old Granny. But I'm just saying, look, before you go around saying that you don't like the model, at least play a couple of 58 through 65 335s. That's all I'm saying. And then you can make the call, whether you like them or not. And I will say this too regarding 335s and SGs. I will say widely varying from one stereo number to another. I mean, every 335 is like a chess game. Every chess game is its own unique movie. Every 335 is its totally own unique thing. There are no similarities from one to the next, even in the same year. They are so widely varying from each other. One of the things I love about them is that, I love to pick up old 335s and go, whoa, and notice the vast differences between them all. I'll tell you a really good year that doesn't really get talked about enough for 335s is 63 and 64. Those are good necks, right in that range. 58s and 59s and 60s are too expensive. We all know that. But you can still get a 63 or 64 without mortgaging your house. And those are really good years for the 335. As a matter of fact, it's very hard to find a 63 or 64 or 335 that's not a killer guitar. I've seen them, but it's very rare. Those are very consistent necks on those. They're all very comfy, kind of full necks. They're not real shallow like 60s and 61s. They're full necks, and they all play wonderful. The Clapton era thing, Eric Clapton, not Dave Clapton. So, as I put these strings through here, it reminds me of all the questions that I've gotten of Uncle Larry, top rap or no top rap? See, that's another thing my grandma used to say. She used to say, don't ever trust a man who top raps or tunes to E flat. She used to always say that. She's a real spitfire. Old granny. Again, I don't know if I agree with her or not on any of that stuff, but that's just what she used to say. Any hot picks for tonight? What's the game tonight? I forgot who's playing. Let me know who you like tonight in the comments below. I forgot who's playing, but if you got any hot picks, throw them at me, okay? I need it. I haven't been feeling the clairvoyance lately that I sometimes get with the NFL. Thanks for all the kind words about the video with Marshall. He got a kick out of reading those comments. What a sweet, sweet boy. It was great. Great. And I appreciate what you all are saying about, man, I wish I would have had a dad that did that. Man, me too. Believe me. I wish I would have had that. And, you know, one day down the road, he'll appreciate all this shit. I think both of my boys will one day go, you know what? My dad was pretty cool. You know, it's when kids are little, they're not equipped to really understand all that shit, you know? How could they be? You know? But yeah, a lot of us had bad connections with our dads, or no connection like I did, you know. I think if my dad would have lived, I would have, you know, gotten along with him okay. I mean, from all accounts, I don't think he would have tried to discourage me from playing music or anything like that. As a matter of fact, he bought a guitar and amp for my oldest brother when my oldest brother was like, you know, 12 or something, or 13. I hit the shop light again. I do that every time. So I think he was encouraging of music. He had my oldest brother take tamburitsa lessons. You know what that is? That was a big thing in Cleveland. It's like a Greek instrument, I think, a guitar-like instrument. And my dad was not musical by all accounts, but he was encouraging of it. So that's cool. But yeah, I mean, like, I've had a lot of you guys ask, you know, what do I got to do to get my kids involved in music? And my answer is, don't do anything. If you try to push it on them, it ain't never going to work. If you just leave instruments laying around, you can just hope in the back of your mind that they'll pick it up and get into it, because that's your only chance. If you try to be a stage dad and force them to do it, it's never going to fly, and they won't let you teach them. So I got lucky. I mean, I just left the instruments laying around, and I hoped and secretly that they would like to play them, and sure enough, they did. So now they let me teach them because I didn't push it on them, right? So people always ask me, why do you put this on the headstock of your 335, Larry? They'll say things like that. They'll say, Larry, what's that thing on the headstock of your 335? And I say, it's a weight counterbalance, because this guitar is a little ass end heavy. And it likes to fall to your lap when you're sitting down. And that works really good as a counterbalance. You can hear that. That's that wood singing. It's a good guitar. You can tell already. I bought this guitar a long time ago, many years ago, and before I ever did any work to it, it needed frets and everything, I sold it. I only owned it for a brief moment, and I sold it to a guy. And after I sold it, to make whatever money I made on the deal at the time I was happy with, I regretted it, because I thought, man, I bet that was a really good one if I would have just gave it a chance. And then many years later, I asked the guy, is that guitar still around? Could it be around? And he was able to get it. and I bought it back. And then I did all the work to it that I should have done in the first place. And I was right. It was a cool one. It's a cool one. It turned out great. I like a cherry 335. You know, I realize that most people like the blonde, and I like the blonde too. But this type of cherry is I think I like it because it's so rare. You just don't see them. It's kind of unique when you see one. You know, for every one of these you see, you'll see 4 sunburst ones, you know. But yeah, these are cool guitars, and I highly recommend that before you move on to that great gig in the sky, you try one of these. Really give one a chance. Find a good one, an original one, and try it, because I think you'll really like it. They're good guitars, man. Now he goes and he cuts them all. I'll have to work on the intonation on this one too, I can already tell. But yeah, that's it for today. Double shot again of bench videos. Johnny Bench. Have a great night, friends. Let me know in the comments who I should bet tonight. All right, bye-bye.